Hi there, my name is Toby and this is part 12, the final part in my series on effortless walking, but it's also a very important talk about body efficiency training itself, because what I'm talking about today is spinal alignment and the isometric tension to hold that spinal alignment. And I talk a lot on this channel about Tai Chi, Kung Fu, internal martial arts. But still, what I am talking about, my approach on body efficiency training is still different. See, I talk about yoga, but it's still different to yoga, it's still different to Tai Chi, it's still different to Kung Fu, and it's different to all the other martial arts. There is an important difference. And in a way, this is an expert lecture, so an expert in Tai Chi will know that. They'll see what I'm doing and say, well, that's not quite Tai Chi. Now, most people couldn't tell. But if you look back at some of my earlier videos, I had a long debate in the comments with various different Tai Chi experts. So they knew, they could see this is not quite Tai Chi what I'm talking about. But I called it Tai Chi because most people will recognize it as Tai Chi. Very similar principles, but there is a fundamental difference. So I've got to be clear, body efficiency training is new, it is unique. There is nothing else quite like it. It is my own training, my own personal discovery. I call it a discovery, not an invention. I did not invent this. I researched it, I experimented on myself, and I discovered this. And I have trained in internal martial arts Tai Chi for many years. I did proper Tai Chi 4 years on a daily basis for about an hour. Serious training, early in the morning. I even go with weights on my arms. I went blindfolded, ear muffed, and I went so slow it would take me an hour. And I'd be grinding my feet through the ground. You know, I was using real force, real power doing the Tai Chi. So I took it very seriously. Kung Fu, many years doing Shaolin. So I studied all these different postures, all these different spinal alignments that are used, but nevertheless, what I'm using now is still different. And it's so important I tell you that and explain this to you. And again, it's to be clear and to be fair to all the other experts out there. I'm not claiming to talk about Tai Chi and correct you on it. It's different. What I'm doing is different. There are similarities, a lot of them, but here is the difference. So let me take you through it. So let's say typical Tai Chi is not all of them, but Tai Chi stance. So when they stand up in a stance, they will have a posture something like this. So they will be standing up in a vertical posture like that, and then their arms will come down and they're their hands. So they'll be like this, okay? And they have, what they do is they allow the spine, they tuck the pelvis under a little bit, so the spine sort of straightens out, and they relax the belly, So everything is relaxed. They're trying to relax. And they'll go down here like that. Sometimes it'll be to the heel, or sometimes it'll be to the middle of the foot. But it's flat-footed. Mostly it's flat-footed like this. And the shoulder drops down. They're sinking. They talk about sinking. They sink down. And again, a lot of internal martial arts will do this. And some internal martial arts even more. They'll really tuck this under and they'll curl this forward. They'll create quite a strong C-back. We call it a C-back. Now, this has a particular effect, but what I'm doing is different. You see, I did this for many years, many years, until I realized that, okay, this is a particular stance, but it is not a natural stance. And I've got to be clear, because the spine, you've changed the position of the spine. You see, the spine has got an S-curve, you've stretched out the lumbar. The lumbar is slightly extended here. You've already created a stretch, you've changed the spine. You've tilted the pelvis underneath. Again, you've changed the angle of the pelvis. Now, this will have an effect. It creates a sort of stretch through the spine and a force in this direction. So it will have an effect. I will use that. I will use this position in combat sometimes, but I would not hang around in it because it's not natural. I've already created a dynamic in my body. So the difference between what I'm doing in body efficiency, I will have the same principles of Tai Chi like this. And again, they're sinking down into the ground. They are trying to root themselves, ground themselves, so their body weight sinks, and then they use that relaxation to create movement and create power. Now what I'm doing is a bit different. So I will have my stance like this. Let's see if I can draw it a bit better. Same thing, I could still have the hands like this. This is a neutral position of the arms. But now the main difference, okay, the main difference is I've got a curve in the spine here. I'm trying to maintain the natural S curve of the spine. Okay, so this means I'm holding the spine in its most efficient position. None of the vertebrae are stretched any more than any of the others. There's no stretch in the vertebra. Now saying that, there is a stretch. I'm stretching upwards and downwards, so I'm opening the vertebra a little bit, but in their correct position. You see, when you do this, you've changed the spine. So now the lumbar spine is meant to be this way, and now you've gone that way. You've stretched it a bit too much. And now the second thing I'm doing is lifting the shoulder up and back. This tends to be down and forward. Now up and back, what happens is, again, you're activating the scapula, you're opening the rib cage a bit. So what this is doing is moving the shoulder towards the center of its pivot. Here you've moved the shoulder forward because you want to get force in this direction. I'm not bothered about force in this direction. All I'm concerned about is the most efficient position for your body. It's the same with the pelvis. So the pelvis has actually got, so the pelvis is tilted slightly this way. So you're tilting it this way a little bit. And it's about 7 degrees. 7 degrees is an actual angle. So this is the optimum angle of the pelvis connected to the spine. This one, they've tilted the pelvis a little bit this way. You've tilted the pelvis under. So you've changed the position of the pelvis. So what I'm trying to do is maintain the absolute natural position, and the hip joint is also projecting a little bit backwards. It looks a bit like you're sticking your butt out a bit. But that's fine, because what you're doing is moving the pivot of your hip joint more to the natural position. This is like you're going to sit on a chair. You're going to sit down. You need to project your hips back. So for me, the lower you go, the more, as you go down, the lower you bend, the more the pelvis pivots according to the height. It will have a tilt according to the height, but the tilt is relevant to the spine. So for example, if I go down halfway like this, so I'm starting to sit down, squat down, what happens is the spine has still got its natural S curve, and the pelvis has still got its relevant tilt. It's tilted this way, so it's tilted a bit more, but relative to the spine, it's still at the same angle. So the only way to do that is use the hip joint. The hip joint moves more, and that allows you to maintain the alignment of your pelvis and your spine, because you take the movement down by projecting your hips. So the lower you go, the more your hips project. And only then you tilt your pelvis according to how high up you are. You see, so now this, if you're going to tilt your pelvis like this, for me, that will be if you stand up straight. If you're standing up all the way straight legs, you can lock the pelvis out, squeeze the glutes and push it forward. But the other thing I'm doing, again, very important, these guys tend to relax the belly. I'm not relaxing the belly, I'm pulling the belly in. There's a certain amount of tension here. So they don't like that, but this is the way it has to be. This is the only support for your lumbar spine. If you relax your belly, now there's no support for the lumbar. The abdominals and the obliques, they are the front of the spine, and then you've got the muscles at the back. This controls the tension here. Now, when there's some energy, this just happens naturally. It's just a gentle pulling in. But you allow, because this goes in, you need a bit more space up here. So you've got to expand the rib cage a little bit. Expand the rib cage a little bit. So now what's happening is you're creating a different pressure inside the body here. See, this one tends to go down. Now this one tends to go up. Now, but I know what I'm doing. I'm breathing to here. My breathing is in the rib cage, deep down at the back of the ribs. These guys want to breathe here. They're breathing in the belly. Okay, my belly is still moving a bit, but it's in, but my awareness of the breathing is in the rib cage at the back. I'm breathing here. So even I'm walking along, I'm breathing to the back of the ribs. This is the deepest part of the lungs. And when you breathe here, it will affect the spine. Not only are you moving the rib cage, you're moving the spine, expanding the spine as you breathe. And this creates the spring in the spine for when you're walking along. And then, of course, finally, I'm on the ball of the foot. I'm not flat-footed. I've got to get the alignment of the spine towards the back, but I'm on the ball of the foot. So that, again, requires you to adjust the pelvis and the hips so that you can do this. So the alignment should be, this should have gone a bit further back like this. So the alignment will be in the spine all the way down through the heel, but to the ball of the foot. So it's like that. So now that is a very important distinction. And what this looks like a dancer. You're like a ballerina. You're tall, you're elongated. And every movement I do from this posture. So that's why I'm calling this is more like a dancer. Body efficiency. You can think of body efficiency as Tai Chi or Kung Fu, but done like a ballerina. So I'm not using this posture, I'm using this posture. And this one, again, is my discovery, is more efficient because it is closer to the natural body. And I'm not bothered about sinking into the earth. I'm actually, the center of movement is here at the solar plexus, the mid-spine. And the center of gravity is still here, below the navel. But I'm sort of floating. These guys are sinking, I'm floating. I'm centering around here, my legs are free, my arms are free, I'm light, I'm high up, I'm floating. So I'm not sinking. I'm sinking into my structure, but I'm sinking more into my own structure. I'm not bothered about gravity. I don't care about sinking down, because fighting, you're upside down, you're wrestling. You've got to be grounded into your own center. Then it doesn't matter which way up you are, whatever angle you do, you're still trying to maintain this same body structure like a dancer. Because if your spine is like this, you can twist it more. If your spine is like this, it's hard to twist. If you now twist at your waist, your lumbar is already extended and now you're going to injure yourself. So I'm making a distinction. And the same with yoga. Yoga has different postures. I do those postures, but I don't do them like a yogi. I do them like a dancer. But it's only incidental. I've never studied dance. I'm not a dancer. I've done martial arts, but not dance. So this conclusion I've come to all by myself. And people will laugh at me, martial artists laugh at me, because they think, oh, he's just doing it for show. I look good. I'm trying to look good. That's not real fighting. No, I'm not trying to look good. Looking good is only incidental. It's this posture. It's the most efficient posture, like a dancer. So you think, oh, he's just looking good. No, that's incidental. And the reason it looks good is because it's natural. You're activating the true geometry of your body. That's why we like to look at dancers. That's what ballet is. The full elongation of your skeleton. That's where the efficiency lies. That's where the tendon power, the ligament power lies. But I'm doing it under isometric tension as well. So it's still not like a ballerina. I would do ballet, but it will be different. It will be ballet under isometric tension. So it's still not like a dancer either, but a dancer would recognize this posture. And here up here, this is holding up the frame. They call it holding up the frame. Breathing here to the back of the ribs. You see it, you'll feel strong, you feel tall. And this is how you walk. You've got to walk with this structure. So walking is the thing we do all the time, and it's the thing where you can practice the real fundamentals of this training, body efficiency training, that I personally do. That's what I do all the time. I can't help it. And I do it so much, and I now think it's so important, and nobody's talking like this, so I've got to have a go, hence I started this channel. So I do hope I managed to get my idea across. Please always leave me any questions, any disagreements you have with me, please do tell me, because I probably don't disagree with you, but I haven't said everything I've got to say. I've got so much to say about this that I could do a different video every day forever. It would never be the same. But I'm always teaching or sharing the same thing. It's still one and the same thing that I'm talking about. This is the secret to gaining energy in your body as well. These guys think that's the secret. Not quite this. because I'm doing the bone structure. They're thinking about this, I'm thinking about the bones. Deeper energy is even in the bones themselves. And this again is copying the animals. I'm using the human body as it was designed. Here I've changed it a bit. This is as it was designed. Think of yourself as an artist, a sculptor. You want to create a perfect body. And at the moment I'm like this. I want to improve it, improve it, improve it. I'm sculpting it, sculpting it, sculpting it. Now, oh, it's getting better and better. So this is your own sculpture. This is bodybuilding. This is aesthetics. But this is beauty, it's dancing, but that connects to the golden ratio mathematics. Everything beautiful has got this golden ratio. The body has got it. And when you do this, it connects, it resonates with the universe, the energy, the metaphysical energy. So this is also the secret to getting the chi. But it's different from Tai Chi, so they won't necessarily like what I'm saying. And that's why I've got to be clear, and that's what this video is all about. Body efficiency training is new, it is different, it's unique, but it's not an invention. It's a scientific study. I am studying it, but I'm the only one studying it, so therefore I'm also got to be the only one teaching it. So I'm the only teacher and I'm the only student of it. And I'm hoping to share that and see what you guys make of it. That's it. See what you guys make of it. So thank you so much for watching. Please do go back and check out this whole series on effortless walking because that is really the foundation of it all. And again, thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.